I've never seen American politics this angry, this divided, and this dangerous. Now, former President Donald Trump is now warning he could be charged with even more alleged crimes. Trump, a Republican, has already been charged by the justice system under Democrat President Joe Biden with illegally keeping these secret records in his home. And has also been charged by a Democrat District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, with alleged record-keeping offences over hush money payments to former porn star Stormy Daniels. And now Trump claims Biden's Justice Department has told him it's the target of its investigation of the January 6 Capitol riots 2 years ago. Now, Trump hit back with a long response saying he's the victim of a political witch hunt by the Justice Department and repeated that in a Fox News interview in Iowa.
The DOJ has become a weapon for the Democrats, an absolute weapon. And it seems that every time my polls, we're leading by a lot. And we're leading by a lot in a place called Iowa, a lot. And not only with the Republicans, but we're leading against Biden by a tremendous amount. They haven't seen anything like it. And they feel, I guess, they want to try and demean and diminish and frighten people, but they don't frighten us because we're going to make America great again. That's all there is.
Joining me from New York is filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've got to say Trump really is starting to look like a man who's being targeted as much for his politics as he is for anything he allegedly did. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, there's no question. And if the goal of the Democrats is to try to get Republicans together on him, people who have previously, people like me, who have previously stepped away from supporting the president because of, in particular, January 6th and the election fraud claims, and they want us to come together so we can get him and elect him as the nominee for the Republican Party so they can soundly, in their eyes, beat him in the general election. They're doing a hell of a job because that's exactly what they're doing. Every time they come out with these charges, particularly the spurious ones, right? So we've got 2 charges officially now, and this target letter now that will soon become a charge. But of the 2, they're very different, right? So the first one we had Alvin Bragg, the highly politicized DA in New York, who came up with spurious charges that will not hold water in court. They're basically a sham. We talked about before, political witch hunt. That's one. The second one you have is the Mar-a-Lago documents case, which has more of a basis in legal reality. I think Trump has more legal exposure there, and I think that's going to be a problem for him. The question about this new letter and where that's going to fall in between those is very interesting. It seems to me, because we don't know what the exact charges are yet, but based on what people are saying, it most probably will be. It's very, very difficult to prove any of them, frankly, and I think it's going to fall in between those 2. What I find so fascinating is that it's coming from the Democrats who do not have they're not coming from the moral high ground. Let's just say that. In the last 3 presidential elections, they have challenged every single Republican victory this century in terms of trying to, almost eerily similar to what Trump has done, trying to make sure that the electors do not have their votes counted. They have done them in 3 Republican wins in this century. You had Stacey Abrams, who to this day is dancing around a tiara saying, I'm the governor of Georgia, with Democrats supporting her and bringing her up as an example of voter fraud and voter intimidation, similar to what they're talking about Trump. So they're not coming from a very high ground here. It's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how this plays out.
Well, don't forget also the Democrats' almost incitement of the Black Lives Matter riots that torched street after street of some American cities. I mean, it's just, as you say, double standards here. Now, but it was really interesting your reaction, right? Because I support a lot of what Trump did as president, particularly his foreign policies. I thought they were, on the whole, terrific. His actions since he was beaten, I don't like at all. And I was hoping there'd be another candidate. But I'm like you. I'm thinking with this, with these kinds of attacks, the bastards, so to speak, cannot be allowed to win playing this kind of stuff. Now, how do you think voters generally are reacting to what is going on? Are they getting sick of the drama, sick of Donald Trump, or rallying to him?
Well, we have two sets of voters that we're looking at, right? We're looking at primary Republican voters on the one hand and general election voters on the other hand. His lead has not decreased among the primary voters. In fact, in some cases, it's increased. It's gotten so bad that DeSantis has had a major, major shakeup in his campaign staff already. He's raising tons of money. Right now, he seems unassailable. Obviously, it's still slightly early days, but this is a lead that we have not seen in a long time in the Republican primaries. And frankly, like we said before, I think these charges, particularly the Alvin Bragg charges, seem to get more people to rally to his defense on the primary side. Now, on the general election side, we've been talking about for a while, is he electable? Is it a massive mistake to get him and give him the nomination? Well, I got to tell you that if you look and break down the polls, the most recent polls, Trump is really handling his business on the general election side. There are polls that have him up. Most polls have them within the margin of error. One or two polls have him down significantly, but they seem to be outliers. And when you go break it down even further and you look at some of the state-by-state battles, right now he's in a dead heat for Pennsylvania with Joe Biden. So it does not seem like these charges are having a negative effect on Trump. And the more we thought and we talked about, that the more these charges come, the more of a divide there will be between the president and the general election voters. Doesn't seem to be the case. Now, one can argue this is not pro-Trump voters. This is really an anti-Biden vote. We don't know. But I will say this, that a vast majority of independent voters do not want Biden to run again and have a very negative view of how Biden is handling this country. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, but if Trump is head-to-head with Biden, just neck and neck with Biden, someone as bad as Biden, that to me is not great news. I mean, Biden should be way behind, really, with his record and his age against him. Ami Horowitz, always terrific to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
It's my pleasure.